Boopity beep 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 beep. Hey, I got some questions for you. Has anybody else noticed this big boom in entrepreneurship and people wanting to be entrepreneurs and stuff? Has anybody else noticed that? If you haven't, that's pretty amazing. It's been all over the place. I feel like it's like this new fad. You know what I mean? I don't want to call it a fad. Maybe I think maybe it's more like a revolution. Because it's been like an explosion. But why the explosion? You could say that it's because of the internet. You could say, that I don't know. There's a lot of people in the world now. Just there's a large population of people, and there's not enough jobs that companies have to offer. So people are creating jobs, and the internet is there to create those jobs. You can say all that stuff, but you know what? I think it's something that's a little bit creepier and a little bit more menacing. And yeah, I'll talk about that. Let's talk about that a little bit. So I personally, I've experienced this actually, but I personally think that there's people nowadays that believe that they are royalty, and some of them are entrepreneurs. Don't get me wrong. There are other entrepreneurs that don't think they're royalty, I think that the monarchy entrepreneurs see the other ones as enemies and as competition. You always hear that it's just a competition, but there's some sort of what's the word of pomposity, pompousness about it, where how dare they? I'm the king. I'm the royalty here, and I've experienced this. I'll tell you a little story. So I worked. You guys have heard a little bit about a company I worked for. A bunch of these people would, if it were legal to scam you, they would. Okay, that's how they made their money. They did everything just above the law. But anyway, they they used to have this lunch poll where I mean it was awesome. They would take us out to lunch every Friday. Okay, it was cool. I'm not complaining about that, but they would have a lunch poll with the whole company would be able to vote on which places to go to lunch, right? And in the warehouse, we kind of had, because we were a smaller company, we had somewhat of a monopoly, kinda, because there were definitely more people at the office, but we had a better sense of unity, so we would end up usually trying to get places that we wanted, and it made people mad. But what happened one time was, the bosses were frustrated, or the owners were frustrated, and in this instance, the owners are the monarchs, the pompous people that think that they're royalty. They think that they own us, which they employ us, so whatever, they can impose whatever rules. But the way that they treated me, especially, was like, you are my slave. Anyway, so what happened was they were sick of us choosing places, so the boss was like, we're going to go to this sandwich place. And one of the guys commented on the Slack and was like, oh man, that place sucks. And I commented on there and I was like, yay, more soggy bread. Ha ha ha. And then he would one of the owners was just livid. He was just so mad. You guys are ungrateful. If you guys don't ever, yeah, if you don't ever want to, if you don't like it, then you don't have to come. Which I took as cool. I don't have to go because I hated going to them. It was a privilege. They made us go to these lunches because we got to mingle together. But I don't want to mingle with web developers. Those guys are boring as freaking jingle jangle ball dingle dangles. Yeah, they're so boring. I didn't want to mingle with them. Plus, I didn't want to mingle with the bosses. They're so pretentious and boring and materialistic. I can't have a conversation with them because they're so boring. All they're about is, you know, just the newest thing, which, gosh, they're just so boring. And tools, they're the biggest tools in the world. So I didn't want to go. So I was like, all right, cool. Anyway, that was a little tangent. But the thing that bothered me was the web developers are over at the office all the time, and they're constantly complaining about, oh, where are we gonna go eat? They were constantly complaining. The web developers had skills, right? So let's look at this as an analogy, right? So you got the king, who's the monarch, and then you got the lords and ladies, right? And we'll call those the lord, the owner of the company was the king, and then the web developers were the lords and ladies. I'll call them ladies because they're a bunch of freaking cotton-headed sissy muggins. So anyway, they were always complaining about stuff constantly, constantly just complaining. And us guys at the warehouse, because all our skills was we just made boxes and put the stuff in the boxes and shipped them out. You could train a monkey to do what we did, pretty much. I mean, it was a little bit more complicated than that, but who cares? Anyway, so when we started saying, "Oh, we don't want to eat there," they lashed out at us as if they were kingly monarchs. Like, "How dare you? You must not speak to me, peasant. How dare you?" And it was the most just mind-boggling thing I'd ever experienced in my life because they're constantly joking around with each other and just shitting all over each other and making jokes and whatever else. And then the instant that any one of us starts to chime in, they go, "You are beneath me. You must not speak. You must not have opinions because I am the king. I am the monarch. It is a privilege that I feed you." You know what? Maybe go FAQ fact yourself, huh? How about that? What do you say about that? Now, to keep the analogy going, were this medieval times or where monarchs existed, my head would probably have gone to the guillotine. But it wasn't. Luckily, we live in 2017, and that didn't happen. But I didn't end up going to lunch. I gave him the bird, and I just went home. And I chilled because I didn't want to go to lunch with those guys. I didn't. I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to be free. Free! A free ballin'. I'm free ballin' in my shorts. I mean free falling. Free falling? Nah, man. I just want to be free. I think that's why this entrepreneur thing is, it's become some sort of a revolution. But that's my thoughts on the matter tonight. This is Jimmy B. Riggin on Wire 21. Stay tuned in. I'm going to maybe talk about this stuff a little bit more. Maybe not. We'll see. Love you. No, I don't.